Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Q2 FY 2022 earnings conference call of Ajmera Realty and Infra India Limited. We have with us today Mr. Dhaval Ajmera, the Director of the company, and Mr. Nitin Bhavesi, the Chief Financial Officer. Please note, all the participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and one can ask questions only after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal for an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nitin Bhavesi, the Chief Financial Officer, Ajmera Realty and Infra India Limited. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Hello and good afternoon to everyone. Season's greetings to all and hope all of you and your families are keeping safe and healthy during these pandemic times. We would like to thank you all for your joining us today to discuss the company's results for the second quarter and first half of the year ended 30th September 2021. Please note, a copy of all our disclosures are available on the investor section of our website as well as stock exchanges. Please note, anything said on this call which reflects our outlook for the future or which could be construed as a forward-looking statement must be reviewed in conjunction with the risk that the company faces. Let me now hand over the floor to our director, Mr. Dhaval Ajmera, to talk our major business developments and outlook. Over to Mr. Ajmera.
Thank you, Nitin bhai. Good afternoon and good afternoon to everybody. Firstly, let me wish everyone, and I hope everyone had a great Diwali and wishing you all a very, very happy New Year. I am very pleased to share that the overall scenario with respect to the business in the first half of the financial year has been better as compared to the last year. This has been a very positive momentum as a start in terms of the results of our first half. The pandemic situation, as we all know, has been improving. Markets are opening up, offices are opening up, business and social life is also getting back. So this all is showing a very, very positive momentum and people are coming back to normalcy, and which I hope this continues and we are off the pandemic forever. Obviously, with thanks to the government of India with crossing and giving 100 crore plus doses to all of us, which is why we all are living our normal lives today. So this is accompanied with a very, very strong economic recovery and improved buyer sentiment, which has been favorable for us. And specifically, real estate, as we know, has gained a lot of positive momentum over the last 1.5 years, where pandemic has taught probably all of us the importance of home and its requirement during such times. We are confident and we see that this kind of demand and the importance of home which we have been seeing has just not been pent up for the last 6 months or 9 months, but it has been consistently rising and the demand for real estate has been growing overall in the entire segment of the market. I'm sure we all know about our company, so I would not want to take you too much of a brief, but just to give you a small that we are a 53-year-old real estate company which started as a family business, which slowly moved into a listed professional company, and now we are very proud to be the listed real estate player with 27,000 shareholders and having presence in Bombay, Pune, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, and internationally in UK and Bahrain. Just to take you to our journey for this quarter and half yearly, I would like to tell you that the company has shown a strong operating and financial performance with improvement in the key financial metrics. I am pleased to inform that our revenue, EBITDA margins, profit before tax and profit after tax for the half year have shown escalations in all these sectors compared to last year, and which has consistently rise, and which is consistent to our mantra which we have adopted in our company, rise. The growth is in line with what our 4 pillars of rise are, that is reinventing the wheel and evolving through new business practices, inspiring to adopt and adapt to the world with the new world altogether, supply creation to meet the demand of end users, and obviously E as an example of the community exemplified by Ajmera family values. This was accompanied with a consistent construction progress and increase in the number of units sold. As people are used to work from home and also now office, we are seeing an incremental demand coming for larger homes or better homes which has these flexibility options available, and we are seeing that people are looking at better homes, and instead of renting they are looking at outright purchases also. The demand for our projects in all sectors, I would say a ready stock or an under construction stock or even a pre-launch stock, has been in a very, very good shape, and there has been a consistent demand in all segments, and we have seen that people have really shown us the confidence for for a flat purchasing and apartment buying in all these three segments. The festive season, specifically Navratri, I would say has been a very, very encouraging for us for sales, and we believe that this trend will only continue to improve in the coming quarters, because as we are gearing for new pre-launches, we are seeing a good demand coming up. Our flagship project, Ajmera Island at Wadala, has seen a very good response, and we feel that this response will continue even for coming quarters. Also, our high margin projects, that is Ajmera Greenfinity in the same suburbs, has been launched, which was launched this year, has already seen 50% bookings. And our commercial project, Ajmera Sikova, which is in Ghatkopar, has nearly seen 20% bookings. So if we look at around, and to give you a brief about our Bangalore project, that is Ajmera Lugano, has also seen a good response over the last few quarters and few months. With the decision of Government of Karnataka slashing stamp duty for flats below 45 lakhs has been a very positive decision, and it has helped our sales in that project, because we have few apartments which are under the 45 lakh category. So this helps us in the boost of sales for that project. However, we hope that the Government of Karnataka also provides the same kind of benefit which the Government of Maharashtra did over the last 1 year and has seen a tremendous response during the pandemic times. Coming to our launches and our future plans, I'm very proud to announce and pleased to say that we have, as we had said, that we are on our path of progress, and we are going to launch 3 projects this year which are scheduled this year, and we are moving very, very rapidly and actively in ensuring that we launch these 3 projects over the coming period. All the projects are progressing as per our plan and will be completed in the next 3 to 5 years time. We are also ready with few more projects coming together as per our land bank, which we already have about 20 million square feet. We are progressing well towards for their permissions and clearances, for which we will be ready for their launches in the coming quarters and coming years. Of these 3 projects launches, I am very proud to say that this will give us a top line of around 2,000 crores, and this will be available in the market in the coming quarters. We are progressing well on our demerger strategy also for our commercial project, and have already obtained equity shareholders approval by majority in our NCLT convened equity shareholder meeting scheduled on Monday, 15 November 2021. We will now file a petition with NCLT and seek RD or ROC's approval, and it is expected to be accomplished by the last quarter of 2022. In the real estate, cash flows are as we all know, play a very, very important role. And as we know that with the robust sales and the continuous, working and the robust sale and the continuous work going on with all our projects, we are seeing that our working capital requirements have been at a very steady level, and we have maintained a very healthy cash flow realization from all our projects, which is advanced, which is ready, and also from our mid-sized project, which is under construction or just about to start. I'm pleased to say that from our advanced projects, which is ready and which are under construction, we are expecting a top line of about around 1,000 crores from these projects, and the 3 launches projects which we are about to do in this coming quarter and the next quarter by the year 2021-22, we are seeing another 2,000 crores coming from that. So overall, we have a top line revenue coming from our existing portfolio, which is about 3,000 crores, over and above which we will be launching more projects from our existing land banks. Taking into this account of our growth plan of growing 5x from where we are today, our company is really geared up to see that we really achieve what we have planned, and we are working towards it, and also our main agenda being reducing our debt, which we as a company are on target, and we are moving towards a very steady path to ensure that we reduce our debt and grow our company at least to minimum 5x from where we are today over the next 3 to 5 years' time. That's all from my side. Thank you very much. I would now like to hand over to Nitin Bhavisi to give us the financial details of our company. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dhaval bhai. I'm glad to announce that we have delivered a robust performance in this quarter and the half year. I will first start with the key financial highlights or the performance highlights for the quarter ended 30th September 2021. Our consolidated revenue stood at 100 crores and EBITDA at around 25 crores. We have booked sales worth of 91 crores, which comprises of 76,897 square feet of sellable area and 78 units sold. Our collection, that is the collection from the sales money, which stood at around 108 crores and jumped around 26% on YOY basis. We have gained good amount of traction in our profitability metrics with improved operational and interest efficiency. The profit before tax, which stood at around 15 crore, which is signifying the increase of around 27% on YOY basis, and profit after tax stood at around 11 crore, which is increased by around 48% on YOY basis. So to summarize the margins, EBITDA at 25%, PBT at 15%, and PAT at 11%. Our focus has always been in the debt reduction, as Mr. Dhaval Ajmera mentioned, and we are improving on quarter basis the debt equity ratio. We are on the path of gradual debt reduction, and I'm happy to announce that in this quarter also, although marginally, but we have reduced by 12 crores and by 58 crores in the entire half year basis. Our debt equity ratio has improved to almost 1:1 in half year basis, which was 1.5:1 in last year, FY21. Our cost of debt has further reduced, which is 83 basis points, and weighted average cost has come down to around 11.2% per annum. Our GCP loan cost has come down by 100 basis points, and a project loan saving into the interest rate is around 250 basis points. Coming to the increase in raw material prices, we will partially absorb the hikes, and we may take a strategic call on the price increase front on the sellable side. Now coming to half year numbers, our consolidated revenue increased to 236 crore, which is a jump of around 57% on a YOY basis. Our EBITDA stood at 59 crore, improving by 37% on YOY, and the profits have grown by almost doubling and more than 100% in the same period. To be precise, our profit before tax stood at 29 crore, which has increased 107%, while the profit after tax is 21 crore, that jumped around 110% YOY basis. We have booked sales of 202 crore, which corresponds to 169,000 square feet, and our collection, as I mentioned, is almost 96% increase, which is at around 218 crore. To summarize the margins for half a year FY22, EBITDA at 25%, PBT at 12%, and profit after tax margin is 9%. EPS also has improved and stood at 6.11 rupee, which is also a 121% YOY basis increase. As our director, Mr. Dhaval Ajmera mentioned, we have shown strong performance with advanced stage projects almost sold out and mid-stage project having a larger contribution to new sales. To put it into numbers, we have a strong revenue visibility of around 958 crores from our existing project portfolio. Our advanced stage projects, the revenue visibility of nearly completed projects from sold and unsold inventory is 38 crores and 172 crores respectively. While in mid-stage projects, the revenue visibility from sold and unsold corresponding numbers are 162 crore and 586 crore respectively. Considering all projects, including the upcoming ones, our total revenue potential is around 3,000 crore as mentioned in the earlier brief. Our mid-size project, which is the Greenfield 80 at a Vadala location, which is also a self-funded project through sales subvention at a very competitive interest rate, has grown up and matured in this particular quarter and has become eligible for revenue recognition, which is a milestone for this particular quarter to FY22. The 3 project launches, as Mr. Ajmera mentioned, are set for launch in FY22, out of which 2 are in Mumbai and 1 in Pune. That corresponds to around 1.3 million square feet of sellable area and around 2,000 crore plus as a revenue potential. For one of these projects in Mumbai, which is around 8 lakh square feet, the first installment of the approval cost is also been paid. So, as Mr. Ajmera mentioned, we are rapidly and very actively moving towards approval and gearing up ourselves for the project launch very soon. We are also actively working on the acquisitions and participation into the projects through JV, JDA and DM approach models, which is going to give a very different revenue stream for us to accelerate our growth momentum. Coming to new acquisitions, we have 2 projects in Mumbai, which is active discussions are on around 9 lakh square feet, and 1 private equity deal is also on the closing stage out of this particular acquisition and the financing deals kind of a thing. With the robust operational and financial performance and a very positive outlook for the real estate, we are sure that we will continue the strong momentum in terms of our achieving our growth targets. Thank you very much for your patience hearing. Now I'll be happy to take on the question and answers and any other suggestions which you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who would like to ask a question, please press star and 1 at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Amanjeet Singh from Oculus Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're audible.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So congratulations.
Mr. Singh, may I just request you to come a bit closer to the phone and speak on the handset mode, please? I think you are on speaker. Yes, this is better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So congratulations for a good set of numbers. Sir, my first question was on the launches for this year. Sir, I believe earlier we had guided for about 1.5 million square feet launches. So what exactly happened to the Bangalore project? Was it pushed back to the next year?
Well, the Bangalore project, you're right, has been pushed back because there has been certain, while we move forward in terms of the, the legalities, we found there were some discrepancies which we are trying to resolve. So hence we have just pushed it back. If that gets resolved, probably we'll launch it next year, but we still want to get that clarified.
Okay. So we are looking then at 1.2, 1.3 million in this year. So how is next year looking in terms of the launch pipeline?
So next year, we have at least, we have around 3 to 4 projects which we are looking in Bombay and Pune market primarily. That's where we are concentrating, and in advanced discussions with a few projects in Bangalore and a few JV JDA projects. But at least definitely 3 to 4 projects coming up next year for sure.
So in terms of square feet, would you be able to guide any broad range as well?
About 1.5 million.
Okay, so similar to this year, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my next question is, sir, in terms of the sales and collections, sir, our pre-sales actually for the quarter was slightly lower than the previous trend. So is there any reason why that was the case in Q2, 91 crores?
So yes, you are right. It is a 91 crore, and most of the sales has come from the Mumbai market, and I'm pleased to say that this is a very OC based projects, and the ticket size is ready to move in, and the entire payments and such kind of factors which will give the momentum of the sales as the customers demands and their expectations aligns with our sales strategy.
Got it. So then just on the collection bit, sir, so we've had like strong collections in the last year of about 520 crores, and in the first half itself we've about collected 217 crores. So what is your expectation, like when will this pick up, especially since we're launching this 1.3 million in the next 2 quarters? What kind of collections do you think we can achieve in the second half and in the next year?
So we have a good sales potential out of our existing portfolio around 170 crore, which is the balance sale available from the existing ones. So that we expect that that will come into the system before March kind of a thing, and that is going to be the sales driver. And apart from the existing mid-size project portfolio also is going to be seeing the traction, as we have seen the traction in the Greenfinity project. The another project, which is the commercial project Sikova at Ghatkopar, also has seen around 20% sales momentum. So we are hopeful that these are the projects which will keep contributing onto the sales momentum and as well the collection side.
Okay, so against the 520 crore FY21, sir, is there any rough number that you can guide for FY22?
Yeah, we are likely to, beat this number. That's what our hopes are. And as we have mentioned that, one of the project launch, which is at Badala location, which is 8 lakh square feet, that particular project, which is going to see the approval coming through in next, 1 quarter kind of a thing. And if we can launch that particular before March, I think you will have a wonderful set of numbers coming into.
Got it. Thank you so much, sir. That's it for my side. I'll come back with you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Puneet Krishnani from Laris Estate. Please go ahead. Puneet Krishnani from Laris Estate.
Hi, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity. The numbers sound promising. I would just want to check, how would private equity tie-up be beneficial for the Ajmera Group?
Well, what we are now looking at is more on expansion basis and, growing our portfolio for different projects at different levels. So obviously, new acquisitions primarily may be, a JV, JDA model or existing developer model. So we have, one of the land acquisitions which we are trying to do is with a private equity, just as a start case basis, which will help us grow, and which we believe that for any projects or any company to move forward, if we have a private equity transactions coming through, I mean there are more and more avenues which are opening up. So that's one of the reasons why we want to try and probably it's a small one, but it will definitely open up a lot of avenues for us.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Preeti Nair from Anmol Sekri Consultants. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Good evening. So I have a couple of questions. Firstly, I'd like to know is since work from home and hybrid work culture has become a trend which will most likely continue. So in the coming quarters, what trends do you see in the RE sector following this pandemic?
You're right. There has been a lot of hybrid models which have been following, but at the same time, we are also seeing this kind of flexibility coming in a real estate sector, in terms that people are preferring to have a slightly larger home so that they can have a workspace within their place, and at the same time, we all being more socially driven. So offices has now again started to become a preference to work rather than home. So obviously, many MNCs where we have seen today working probably 3-day, they've started as a 3-day culture or a 4-day culture, something like that. But my feeling is that eventually this will come back to normalcy as what we were earlier. But definitely the flexibility and a space for a working environment within the home is very important now, and that's what at least us as a real estate company are planning within our homes.
Okay. So secondly, do you also expect the urbanization trend being reversed or modified?
Meaning? Sorry, I didn't get you.
The urbanization trend, do you expect it being reversed or modified?
As a infra's point of view, or just towards? So no, I would say urbanization has been consistently and rapidly growing. I mean, in terms of even not only in tier 1 cities but tier 2 and tier 3 also. There has been a lot of upgradations happening within all these cities too. So my take is urbanization and infrastructure is going hand in hand, and definitely it will be on the growth trajectory.
Okay. So lastly, what I would like to ask is, will the home designs and project designs be affected or modified by the RE players, and what is your thought process for the same?
Well, this definitely, if you had looked at the start of the pandemic or whenever it was, but as I said, there has been a requirement for workspace within the home. But especially in a city like Mumbai, where every square feet is an expensive proposition, if we try to make it a larger space, it becomes even more expensive. So we need to balance that out within a requirement plus the budget of the apartment. So that's very important for an apartment. So ideally a 2-bedroom apartment can be a 700 square feet to 1,000 square feet. But obviously the budget changes, so we need to ensure that we are in the right mix at the right time within the right location. So that's a very important aspect which a developer needs to take care.
Okay. All right. So that's it from my side. Thank you for taking my question, sir, and wish you good luck for the next quarter.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Jain from Arihant Capital. Please go ahead. Abhishek Jain from Arihant Capital, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead with your question.
Sir, thank you for taking my question. Sir, 2 questions. First is, what kind of commercial and residential breakup will be having at this point of time, and when you expect this demerger is expected to be completed going forward? First question.
So the commercial breakup, right now we have one commercial project known as Ajmera Sikova in Ghatkopar, which is about 1 lakh square feet, 102,000 square feet. Going forward, we are looking at, as we said, that as per the demerger plan, we are looking at around 3 odd million square feet of commercial project coming up at Wadala. But obviously that is in the future pipeline. So we as a company, we are slowly moving towards as much as we do residential, but we also want to have some significant amount of commercial portfolio within our company. And as far as our demerger plan is concerned, I would just request Nitin Bhai to give you a brief.
So as regards the regulatory process and the procedures, we had the equity shareholder meeting, NCLT convened meeting yesterday, and we got the equity shareholders approval for that one, and we are moving ahead to file scrutinizer and chairman report as a matter of process, and we should be filing the final petition sooner, and we should be seeking the RD/ROC approval and as well NCLT final approval onto the process. That's the steps involved into the balance procedures for the demerger kind of a thing. We are hopeful that we should be completing these procedures in FY22 and then take this particular piece in a strategic manner as per our plans.
Okay. Second thing, sir, on the revenue side, if you can, like on the basis of, because I've just started looking at this company, what kind of, as per Ind-AS, what kind of projects will be delivered in FY22, 23, 24, if you can, on the volume and the value-wise and then the volume-wise also, if you can throw some light on this, area-wise also.
Sure. So, in terms of, advanced stage projects, which is at a Vadala projects with OC and part OC kind of a thing, we should be closing this, balance inventory and the projects balance life cycle in FY22, and that's our endeavor. So, this entire projects of 3 towers, Eon, Xeon and Trion should be completing in FY22. Alongside Greenfinity, which has become eligible for revenue recognition post 25% threshold, which is also likely to be, getting over in our estimation, should be in the next year kind of a thing by December 22. Sikova is also a mid-size project, which is also likely to be over in FY23 types kind of a thing. And rest of the projects, which is one of the project at Bangalore, which is Nucleus Residential, which is also at an advanced stage, should be also closing in this financial year. And rest of the projects at Bangalore, which is at a mid stage, including the project at mid stage at Mumbai, should be in the horizon of around 2.5 to 3 years time.
So any revenue potential numbers, sir, if you can throw some light. And second thing, what will be the Mumbai non-Mumbai ratio at currently, and going forward, what it will be, sir?
So in terms of revenue potential, as I mentioned in my brief, it's around 958 crore revenue, which is balanced. So from the advanced stage project, we have around 38 crore worth of revenue from the sold position and 172 crore worth of revenue from the unsold inventory. So that gives you around 210 crore as a revenue potential. And mid-size project sold and unsold same proportion is around 162 crore and 586 crore. So around 750 crore is likely to be recognized as a revenue over 2.5 to 3 years, as I mentioned.
Okay. Okay. And Mumbai non-Mumbai like.
So as I mentioned that we have 1.3 million square feet launch target in this financial year, and out of that 2 projects are in Mumbai location, and that comprises of around 1 million square feet and balance around 0.3 million from the Pune location. So that's our immediate target.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, we would like to remind our participants you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Amanjit Singh from Achilles Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, on the demerger, so it's I believe it's a 6.5 acre property, which will translate to about 3 million square feet of commercial property, right? So what are the plans exactly? Have you already been showcasing it to other people for financing? And what will be kind of the debt equity mix of the project and the project size, or any other details that you can share about it, sir?
Well, we are currently under a planning stage. We have already, as per the regulatory requirements and what is available in terms of the FSI and all that has been done. We have not really moved forward to any financial institutions or any private equity player. to have any advanced stage, but we are informally discussing because we believe till the time this NCLT thing is done, we do not want to have any advanced stage discussion. So we've kept our guns ready. We would like to really go ahead once we have the NCLT, which we are expecting towards this last quarter of this financial year. Once that is done, so over next year we will see some progress happening in the commercial transaction.
Okay, so by commercial, so this will primarily be office space, right?
Office space, yes.
Okay. Sir, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned that you have a land bank of 20 million square feet?
Yes.
So could you please provide, because in the last call I think you mentioned that you have about 6.5 million development potential at Wadala. So what about the other 13.5, sir?
So they are at different places in Bombay, Pune, Bangalore, and other places, which I would not want to reveal right now, but I can just give you that these are the 3 cities where we largely locate and have those potential locations.
Got it. Sir, and just one final question. So when do you think that you'll look at Kanjurmarg, sir, as a strategic area for development?
As Kanjurmarg is strategic, we believe that we should be able to launch something in the next financial year. There are a few things which we are just about to clear, and we are awaiting some certain permission, so we will be able to launch sometime in the next year.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, sir. All the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahul Talwar from AB Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening, sir, and thank you so much for taking my question. So, my first question is related to ESG. How do you perceive ESG-related metrics for the real estate sector, and what is the outlook and initiatives undertaken by Ajmera Realty in this regard?
So, as we have mentioned in our investor presentation, all the 3 segments of ESG, we are fulfilling our responsibility. We are taking care of at site level by organic waste converters, solar power, reusing the STP water wastage and such kind of a thing. We are using environment-friendly raw material inputs like EAC blocks kind of a thing. One of our project which is at Ajmera Zion, which is at Wadala location, also got a gold rating green building from the Green Building Council kind of a thing. So that's the kind of environment friendly features and the steps which we are taking. As well, as mentioned into the investor presentation, also we are taking social responsibility, not only the employees of the Ajmera group, but at the public at large kind of a thing. We are mindful of undertaking the relevant ESR activities and safety measures and free health check and such kind of a social endeavors which we are undertaking. And on the governance side, we are very proud to say that we are the most disclosure and the governance driven. All the standards and the SEBI compliances and such kind of a thing are being fulfilled from time to time. And at the board level also, we have the diversified policy of being board at a professional level kind of a thing. So that kind of all the 3 segments of ESG, we are mindful and we are undertaking the responsible acts of that.
Okay, sir, understood. So my next question is, before the pandemic, home prices were expected to increase at a slower rate, like unlike the market jump of 2017 and 2018. Also, the number of home listings was likewise seen to increase by only 3%. So just wanted to know, do you expect that home prices will increase by first half of the next year, and if so, what sort of percentage do you feel it might increase by?
Well, see, home prices right now, are a lot of dependent on the input costs which are coming up in the market. If you go to see, as far as our input costs are concerned, there has been a significant rise in the steel, cement, and copper and plastic, and all the other raw materials, aluminium, etc., everything. If I really look at a new project which I have to launch, probably my construction cost would go up by at least 15 to 20%, depending upon the size of the building and all of that. So if this is, if this is continued, definitely, every developer would be forced to increase their, pricing by at least 10 to 15%, obviously depending upon the, the area of the project and all of that. But with the way things in raw material are going, definitely the, real estate prices are set to go higher. Although I don't think any developer or any one of us would want to do it, but because of the forced input cost, this is definitely going to be on a rise.
Okay, sir. Okay, I understood. So my third question would be, what do you think about the stamp duty valuation? So is it going to decrease, or any benefits we expect in the regions we operate in?
Well, I definitely wish, because if you look at the statistics, when the stamp duty benefit was allowed by the government of Maharashtra, there had been a significant jump in terms of registrations all across Maharashtra, not only in Mumbai but all across Maharashtra, because people had seen a pent-up demand and people had seen a good benefit coming out of it, and the revenues for the government in fact increased compared to a year-on-year versus of a 2020 versus 2019 when the stamp duty was higher. So realistically, I feel stamp duty should be rationalized to 2 or 3%, which will give a good momentum to the real estate market, which indirectly supports around 350 odd other industries, which helps the economy to grow higher. So I definitely believe stamp duty benefit will be a great economic and a real estate booster for the for the sector.
Yes, right. So I get it. All right. So my last question, if I could squeeze in.
Yeah.
So, we have read about the acquisition of Tata Communications buildings. So just wanted to know if you could provide any details on that.
Things are still under discussions. We have not formally finalized everything. Hopefully in the coming quarter we should be able to reveal more details about the same.
Okay, sir, understand. Thank you so much, sir. That does answer my question. And thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sushant Raj from SKS Capital and Research. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Congratulations to the team on a good set of numbers. My first question is on price increase. We know that the cost is going up for the suppliers in general, like steel, cement, material, labor, or so on. And if this continues, it might start affecting the interest rates and the residential sector demand, maybe like 1 or 2 years down the line. I just wanted to know how this would affect the construction costs and the margins and the demand in the future. Like, do we have any plans for the same? And what is the price trajectory we see in the coming years?
As I said earlier, with the way currently the input costs are going, which I hope is a temporary thing, because right now with the kind of input cost, the cost of construction is increasing between 15 to 25%, depending upon the size of the project and the location of the project, which will eventually on an average, if I have to say, which will affect the real estate prices. Either I have to reduce my margin or I have to increase my output cost, that is my pricing. So I believe that if the cost of construction is going to be at this, definitely the real estate prices will go up by 10 to 15%, primarily in Bombay, and if in other places it will be even a little higher.
Okay, I get it. Also, we buyers generally are attracted to discount schemes and gifts, etc. But we see imminent price increase in the coming period. How will this be offset? Like, how will the buyers be attracted in spite of the price increase?
Well, we all have to live with the fact of the incremental inflation and the pricing which has been affecting all of us. If you really look at, there is nobody who, it's not like a one-way feel there where just the flat prices are increasing, but there is a reason behind which the flat prices are increasing. But you are right, there will be certain schemes depending on a developer and the project and his need for the project to see how he can really attract the customer. But we may all need to really be mindful that the prices would increase because of the cost incremental, and nobody would want to really stop that. It's not that people are just increasing because there has been a good demand. With the good demand, prices were steady, and had it been steady, it would have been even better for the economy. But we just hope that this prices rationalize.
Okay, that explains it. And my last question is regarding expansion. We have launched 3 new launches this quarter, and we have so many plans ahead. But then, do we have any further plans to enter in new cities or new product offerings?
As of now, we don't have plans to enter new cities, but our plan is to expand within the cities where we are. So that is Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Ahmedabad. These are the 4 cities we are concentrating and we are expanding. So because we have a set base, we have a set team, and I believe these markets in generic, for real estate, these 4 cities have a good potential. So we really want to expand where we are. So that's question number 1. Secondly, as far as the apart from developing residential, we are also looking at commercial and smart offices and stuff like that coming, but primarily related to residential and commercial and retail is what we are more looking in terms of the sector of real estate.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you, and wishing you a good luck for the quarters ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shanti Patel from Shanti Patel Investments. Please go ahead. Shanti Patel, your line has been unmuted. Please go ahead with your question.
Hello?
We would request you to
unmute yourself. My voice?
Yes, we can hear you now, sir.
Okay. Sir, what is the cost of construction per square feet in Bombay, Pune, Bangalore, or whichever city we are?
Well, every what do you call? It's a different for different. So if there is a 7-story building, we'll have a different pricing versus a 15 and a 35 and a 45-story building. So and Bangalore, Bombay, Pune has different criteria for usage of steel. So every city, every floor has a different. But if I have to give you on an average, it's between 3,000 to 4,000 rupees a square feet.
Okay. And second question is, the projects which we have already completed in the first half and which are likely to be completed in the second half, what will be the revenue approximately, and what will be the PAT percentage thereon?
So as I mentioned, the revenue potential out of this very advanced stage project is from the sold area, it is around 38 crore. And balance inventory which is available to sell is going to yield a revenue of around 172 crore. So both aggregate put together is around 210 crore which we are envisaging from this advanced stage of the projects.
And approximately PAT margin. Hello?
Yes, sir.
PAT margin.
These projects are in the range of 15 to 20% at a project level, PBT margins kind of a thing. And the new projects which is with a better efficiency like Greenfinity and such other products, those ones will be relatively at a higher margin products.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Aditya Singh from KB Capital. Please go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. I just have a question on sector performance for the past quarter. How would you describe the performance of the sector, and then compared to that, how would you rate your or Ajmera's performance to that? Also, when do you expect the sector to recover back to pre-COVID levels? Any time frame that you can give? And what is your outlook for growth in the upcoming quarters?
So in terms of outlook, the last question I would like to take it up first because as we have repeatedly mentioned, it is immediately in FY22 we would like to launch 1.3 million square feet with a potential of around 2,000 plus crores as a revenue potential, and that is going to be completed over the life of the project, which is around 3 to 4 years, and this 2,000 crores should be recognized as per the progress of the project on a percentage basis kind of a thing. So that is our immediate basis, which is the launch pipeline. There are some other projects which is also going to be launched, and we should be having the launch size of around 3 million plus over next 1.5 to 2 years, and should be completed in next 3.5 to 4 years or maximum 5 years kind of a thing. So that's the kind of scale which we are looking to undertake the growth targets which we have set for ourselves.
Got it. And how would you describe the performance of the sector and then the performance of Ajmera compared to that for the current quarter?
If I have to look, the sector has been performing consistently well. So if I would not have an exact percentage per se, but I feel that overall the sector has been improving and have been seeing a consistent performance quarter on quarter over the last 2 quarters per se. And similarly, if I have to look at our company's performance, has also been consistent, and we've been growing, in terms of our half-yearly revenues on year is about 58%. So definitely this is showing an improvement sign, and we see that our company is at least a little more or better than the normal real estate players. So definitely we are on an upward trajectory.
All right. That's understandable. My last question is, within the sector, we see there is a trend, or rather it is set up for consolidation going forward. So how do you think that will affect the sector and the company? And also there are certain events like GST, demonetization, etc. How do you think that has changed the competitive landscape for you as such? Any your broad views on this?
Well, we see consolidation as a great opportunity for a company like us, and we have been actively discussing with a lot of real estate players as well as landlords, because there has been certain issues or challenges which they face. But we, with the ability of our company and the experience, we feel that as together we can help make the project as a good landmark. So definitely consolidation helps us in our company in a long run perspective, and that's what we are looking at. And secondly, our leverage position, because our leverage position is at a very strong 1:1 ratio, which also adds an advantage to this. So this is where we see as a great potential. And with demonetization, RERA and all of that, this has actually in fact probably straightened the market to a great extent. And RERA for a company like ours has been a great boon, because we were almost, even before RERA was complied or made as a rule, we were 80-90% still complying to the same. So definitely this adds on to the confidence of the buyers, and it makes it even more transparent. So we welcome all these moves, because transparency is the name of the game, and we believe in the same. So it's something which is really appreciable. And once with companies like ours, consolidation even becomes more easier because of the access to capital which is available from FDIs and funds and all of that. So this gives us a great advantage to us.
Got it. Just to follow up, so you mentioned that your current leverage is around 1. So in terms of the opportunities that you're seeing, do you look to increase the leverage going forward?
Well, every project is going to have a specific leverage to itself in terms of construction funding. So because in Mumbai per se specifically, we need to have be paying a lot of premiums upfront. And specifically for certain projects where we are, the government is giving us a benefit of a 50% discount, which we need to pay the payments by December. So definitely there will be leverages available, and we will have to take. for those projects. But these are specific project-related and construction-related funding. So that is going to be on project-to-project basis, but not on a group level or on a larger scale. Our target is to reduce, but definitely on a project basis, it will be on for that particular project, which will continue to be embedded or reduced through their project-specific cash flows.
Got it. That's all from my side. Thank you for answering my questions, and all the best for your upcoming quarters.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankita Mehta from Newland Investment. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just had a couple of questions. So for the remaining half of the year, what is the margin outlook for us, and like what range are we seeing the margins to be? And another thing is like what are the growth drivers for us going ahead in this year and next year, and how do we see ourselves placed in that terms?
So on the half year basis, we have the PBT and PAT, which is the profitability numbers, which is almost doubled from the year ago kind of a thing on a YOY basis. So that's the kind of traction which we have seen because of the operational and plus debt deleveraging strategy kind of a thing, and interest efficiency for one of the project which is Greenfinity. So we see a profitability traction coming in a positive trajectory, and we have already seen the top line growth of which is around 58% on this particular financial year on a half year basis. So we see a significant jump in this financial year over the 350 crore as the base of the last full financial year number kind of a thing. So we are very confident and hopeful to have a significant performance going forward.
Okay, so that was helpful. So also on the growth drivers?
So as we have mentioned, the next launches of 1.3 million with a revenue potential of 2,000 crore, completing the advanced stage projects and the mid-stage project over the 2.5-3 years. So these are the numbers which will keep coming into the books based on our progress, and we see a great momentum of the numbers. Apart from the new launches out of the 3 million plus, which we have the target out of our land banks kind of a thing.
All right. And so do we have the timeline for this 3 million projects?
3 million?
The projects that you just mentioned that we have going ahead, do we have some specific timeline, or it's just...
So the new launches which we are going to do now, that one, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are about 1.3 million which we are about to launch this year, and we are looking at completing in the next 3 to 4 years' time.
Okay. So also I just wanted to know, the real estate sector has recovered somewhat, and we see that the developers have a good cash flow. So there has to be some differentiation in the industry, right? So what would be the differentiator for us?
Well, for us, our biggest differentiator for the coming projects will be where we have our own land banks would be high margin projects, because these are our historical lands which will be enabling us to give a higher margin than what we currently see. So definitely that will be, we will be at a differentiator in that. And secondly, as far as the new projects are concerned or new JV JDAs are concerned, we are looking at projects with, as a company, we believe in less debt and more into advanced sales and construction point of view. And we are successfully trying to work that model out, and rather than having a more debt or leverage model. So these are the two things which we are working, which we hope that our companies would be different than probably a leverage company.
All right. That was very helpful, sir. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Monica Arora from Share Giants Wealth Advisors. Please go ahead.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My first question would be, I want to know that as Ajmera's name, for which segment Ajmera is more known to the customers, and what would be price range of these segments?
We as Ajmera have projects from probably a 10-11 lakhs rupees a square feet 10-11 lakh apartment to 10 crore apartment. So we because of the sheer experience of our company and delivered 45,000 apartments, we are in all different segments. Although we do not make apartments as high as 100 crores and 150 crores, but in the city like Mumbai and a city like Bangalore or Pune, where our apartment sizes range from 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs to 5 crores and 7 crores. So that's the range where we are. So we cater to affordable, mid and high end, all three sectors.
And could you give a range of what would be the range of all these segments separately?
So primarily right now with our current projects, what we are primarily a lot more into mid segment because our projects which we are launching are primarily more into Bombay market, which is between 1 to 5 crores.
Okay. And my next question would be how is the performance of your peers? And when do you think that the company will be able to recover to the pre-COVID kind of a situation, like whatever sales you were doing at that time you'll be able to achieve? What time it will take from here?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, I wanted to ask that how has been your peers' performance as compared to yours, if we do analytics of it, and when do you think you'll be able to recover yourself to the pre-COVID level?
We are in fact a little better than our pre-COVID levels. If I have to compare my own company's financial sales performance compared to a pre-COVID, we are even better than what we were earlier. Firstly, point number one. Secondly, as far as our peers are concerned, there are different segments. There are likes of big companies which have been doing exceptionally well and great, and definitely we target or endeavor to be even better than what they are. So we are looking at going higher with our future growth plans of 20 million square feet of land banks available to us. So we want to grow at a higher pace, and as we said, we want to look at 5x growth and within the next 3 to 5 years. Unless we do not grow where we are today, I don't think we'll be able to reach. So, but we are slowly and steadily moving towards that.
Okay, that should be great. And we have also mentioned that we are planning for debt reduction. So, the company is seeing for additional capital raise, because then how would you be funding your construction and capex?
As I said earlier, every project will have a specific construction funding for that particular project. But as a group level, we are wanting to do the debt reduction. But because every project for our growth plan and for the project plan, we will have to take a bit of a funding for payment of premiums and construction finance, which will be it's a normal process which will be reduced or taken care from the project cash flows itself.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering all my questions so patiently.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Monali Shah from CSP Securities. Please go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. We are witnessing that in construction, the key players are adopting various technologies like artificial intelligence, modern construction, design technology, and this is redefining the realty sector in India. So I just wanted to understand how is Ajmera adapting to these innovations?
Well, very good question. We are very averse to technologies, and we are definitely looking at adopting to new and better ways how we can construct projects faster. So definitely, I don't know if I can use certain technical terms in terms of the MIVANs and the jump forms and all of that. In terms of construction, we have a specific team who is doing a lot of research and development within our team to ensure that we firstly look at faster methods of construction. Point number 2, in terms of our daily processes and execution, we have been very efficiently moving towards paperless organization and ERP efficiently working, where we want to ensure our processes and efficiencies are working better and faster. And point number 3, as far as artificial intelligence is concerned, in terms of our marketing, online marketing, and our sales portfolio, we have been trying to work towards those artificial intelligence, drivers to get the best kind of leads for our projects. So these are the three different areas where we are working. However, with over and above that, we are also looking at a lot of blockchain requirements which are coming up in the near future, which we are in discussions, but it's a very nascent stage right now. If something really comes up, which is where we want to adopt to those blockchain technologies and move our company to another level.
Okay. Thank you. That's really helpful. And you mentioned that there was good traction during the festive season. So are we expecting that momentum to improve further? And what would be the factors that would drive that momentum? Thank you.
As I said earlier, the demand in real estate has been in a good form, and we are seeing good demand coming up for real estate developers like us who have had delivery performances already shown and delivered. So like a company like us who's already delivered 2.5 to 3 crore square feet, 45,000 apartments. The kind of confidence the people have shown to companies like ours has been good, and we are seeing even good demand coming, even though if it is a pre-launch. So as we said that our Greenfinity project, which is which started just this year in the month of January, we've already we've sold more than 50% of it. So that's the kind of that confidence the people have shown. And I'm very confident that with our new launches which are coming way, we will have a good numbers coming even in those projects too.
Okay, that's very insightful. Thank you. That's it from my side, and all the best for future.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anushka Atri from GK Solution Advisor. Please go ahead. Anushka Atri from GK Solution Advisor, your line has been unmuted. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, so I had two questions. So one, the low and stable mortgage rates stimulate the real estate industry. While it is impossible to know for sure how long this trend will continue, do you think it's good news for the real estate sector? Since we are extremely sensitive to mortgage rates?
So, as we have seen that, the RBI is keeping the accommodative stance on the interest rate front kind of a thing. Of course, couple of quarters we are, hopeful that, this stand continues. And then after, of course, the inflation and the overall other factors, credit offtake and such global factors, oil is also going to be, one important factor to watchful kind of a thing. So these are all factors will culminate into the, overall policy makers to look at the interest rate scenario and direction in which it can be taken forward. But currently we are looking at a mortgage rate which is much at a reasonable level, and wherein it can give a good booster to the demand side kind of thing.
Okay. And so as far as I have read, there's no credit rating mentioned anywhere in the presentation or elsewhere. So is there a reason for that, or are we taking any steps to improve and get recognized?
Can you please repeat specifically which part of the question you want to answer?
Credit rating, the credit rating.
Yes. So as regards the credit rating, it's like, the need of the, kind of a corporate action, one which like to do that kind of a thing. As regards the construction loans, our lenders do have the in-house process of credit rating as per the credit profile and the risk profile of the project as such. And as regards the, listed instruments kind of a thing, we may be taking the credit rating as per the requirements and the transaction requirements kind of a thing.
Okay. And so I just have one last question, if I may. So as always, the law of supply and demand rules the market with, luxury prices being driven by high inventory levels. This could prove to be good news for investors who want to cash in on luxury homes which is undervalued at this point. So do you think this pattern will change after COVID?
There has been a good demand for luxury ready projects, which specifically if I have to look at in the Bombay market. But I also see, going forward, that there would be a steady demand in actually all sectors. It would not only mean a luxury or a semi-luxury, but I feel it is going to be all across, affordable, luxury, mid-segment, everywhere. So definitely, but I feel overall, ready luxury projects will definitely have a higher demand because HNI would want to feel and see the project and take it rather than wait for it to be constructed.
Okay, got it, sir. That's it from my end. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aishwarya Suresh from L&T. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So I have a couple of questions. So the first one is, there are a lot of opportunities we hear related to joint development. What's your take regarding this, and will this be a model that will be followed in the sector, and your plans, if any?
We are very, very aggressive or very, very pro joint development and DM models because that's the best asset-like model which is available for the sector like real estate. As a company, when we itself have our own land bank, as a part of our growth strategy, we have always mentioned, and we are in advanced talks to a lot of existing developers or landlords to work towards joint development or a DM model, which we hope to announce soon in the coming quarters. So definitely, as a company, we are aggressively working towards it.
Okay. My second question is that with the sector really speeding up, how do you summarize, for example, if you want to describe the sector in the near future, and how will you be unique if compared to the peers?
The sector, sorry, can you repeat the question again, please?
Like with the sector really speeding up, how would you summarize your sector, and how will you be unique if compared to the peers?
As I said earlier, sector is growing steadily quarter on quarter, and if I have to say year on year as well, if I have to compare between 20 to 21. And similarly within our company, we endeavor that last year we were at about 300 odd crore as our revenue times. We endeavor to grow 1.5 to 1.7x this year, and if you look at our 2 quarterly results which have already been seen, we've already done 236 crores. So definitely our target is to grow and between 1.5 to 1.7 year on year wise. So that's where we are definitely going to grow. Our PAT margins have also started showing great improvements year on year. If I see, it's about 121% growth. So definitely, as I said earlier, and with our new projects coming, which are more of a higher margin projects as compared to earlier ones. So we are looking at a very positive momentum within our company with a good top line and a bottom line.
Okay. And my last question is that we have heard about RISE campaign or the pillars you follow. Can you just elaborate on that, and how is the company actually achieving the things mentioned?
As we said, our 4 pillars of RISE, that is reinventing the wheel. As we talked about, we are looking at a lot of innovations in terms of construction, in terms of business practices, in terms of solutions which can really help our efficiency grow higher. We are also inspiring to see, make the best of the buildings in terms of design, where we make our customers, our shareholders, everyone really happy, give them the best of the results in terms of our performance for sales, performance of our product, which we are actually giving to our customers. and supply creation to meet end users demand, because for us apartments are our bread and butter, and we want to ensure we give the best quality apartments, whether be it is our buildings, our facilities, our amenities and everything. And we primarily as Ajmera, we are a family driven company. We are a family culture today. We are 3 generations within the business. So our values hold a very, very important role for us. And we want to continue to ensure that we do not leave our values beyond our growth of our company, which will help us drive and grow more. So these are the 4 prime pillars which we want to really grow, which eventually helps us continue to grow above our customers, shareholders, and primarily reduce our debt. These are the 3 other things which we really want to work for. And obviously we are mentoring a lot of our internal employees and welfare programs for them, which will motivate them to work harder for our 5x growth.
Yeah, thanks, and all the best for your next quarter.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, that was the last question for today. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Nitin Bhavisi for closing comments.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining the call. I hope we have been able to answer the questions raised by you. In case if you need any clarification or any additional input or any suggestions, you can get in touch with EY, our investor relation advisor. I wish all of you and your families safe times ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Ajmera Realty and Infra India Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.